Okay, for those of you that are into it and you want to get involved, the Loch Ness Monster now has an official fan club that you can become a member of. Kathy Campbell and her husband Gary, who live in Inverness, Scotland, said they decided to start the Loch Ness Monster fan club for two reasons. Kathy works in a hotel on the shores of Loch Ness, the actual...
I see. And the second reason would be they're both retards.
Well, the tourists, they always come in, they go to the hotel, and they say, is there a fan club for the Loch Ness Monster?
Oh.
And so, from all the people's inquiry, they...
so they get a lot of faxes, get a lot of calls.
Right.
You got a fan club for that Loch Ness Monster?
Right. And so they didn't.
Just supply and demand.
So they figure, well, hell.
I see.
And the second reason, she said that she and Gary...
Are tards.
It came... So the final decision came after they both saw something.
Okay. They both saw something?
So they both saw something in the loch.
Oh.
Earlier this year. She's worked there for years. Never saw anything, but this year, she and her husband together saw something earlier. Quote, I saw something very large break the surface, and then it just disappeared.
I see. And then Gary says, sweet boneless Christ, honey, let's start a fan club.
There you go.
Okay.
So if you want the latest information, the latest photographs, and a history of the Loch Ness, then you got a place you can go. Now, got to say, we here at the Mark and Brian program, we at one point had actually moved into plans of going over to Scotland and doing a show where we get one of those official little submarines, and we go down and we broadcast while searching for the Loch Ness Monster. And to get a special submarine that could go deeper than most. I mean, really, really, really get into it.
Really do it. We had the submarine all pretty much lined up.
Right.
It would cost $500,000.
It was going to be really, really expensive, ridiculous
The station didn't want to pay for that, and we weren't going to pay for it.
And on top of that, in between the time we first initially thought about the Loch Ness show and actually working on doing it, we went and did the Sasquatch Show. And we realized that there's not a lot that separates those two. Here we'd be in a very expensive submarine probing the Loch Ness, looking for a monster that may very possibly not show up. Don't want to be negative.
You new listeners of the New Cities We Broadcast, and this is before we started syndicating. It was a good 5 years ago, maybe 6. We decided to do the Sasquatch Show. We went up to Oregon.
We flew up there now.
Flew up there. We had broadcast capability from a forest, a forest wooded area in Oregon,
where Sasquatches are supposed to be, for the most part, roaming.
Right in the exact same area near the campsite where this one man saw Sasquatch. In fact, he was our guest.
He was on the program. Now, we must have, either we just didn't stop down to think about it, or that we both, together, we thought we were going to find one, a Sasquatch. However, we're on the program. We're sitting there talking to this guy who had an encounter with a Sasquatch, and he's telling the story.
And by the way, did we tell you that he was a retard?
This guy?
Okay.
Well, see, but the retard part didn't hit us until we're on the air with him, because we had met him the night before, seemed like a nice guy, so forth, so on. So we're sitting around. We're on the air. Microphone's in this guy's face, and he's telling a story. And he says, so I'm sitting in the camp and heard this noise, and we looked up, and to make a long story short, he said we saw the Loch Ness, or the Sasquatch standing right there, 9 feet tall, hair covering the body, moved fairly swiftly for something that large, and then something happened that we didn't expect to happen, and we both leaned forward and we're listening carefully to what he's saying.
Took another shot of our Jack Daniel.
Yeah. He said the Sasquatch spoke to me. He said, Argar Largar.
Now, this was the exact thing he quoted Sasquatch as saying, Argar Largar.
And he said this on our show.
Now, it used to be, now it's Hootie Hoo, but it used to be Argar Largar when listeners call.
Argar Largar. The Sasquatch looked at him, sadly, I think is the way he put it, and said, Argar Largar. I wish there were footage of mine and Brian's face as we realized we flew up here. We came all the way up here, and this is our...
All right, and we had 3 more hours of the show to kill.
Yeah, we did.
All right.
I think at one point we wound up Coming up, I remember this coming out of my mouth. All right, we're going to take a break, but coming up next, we're going to take off our shoes and step in the stream. I remember saying
we skipped a few rocks for about 40 minutes and the show on it. Argar Largar.
Oh, God.
Was what Sasquatch said to him, which we think either means, I'm really bummed, dude, or I'm terribly morose or something.
I think we need to take the Sasquatch Show and sell it for charity, the entire thing. Let you hear it. It has gone down in the archives of this radio program as being one of the most horrible experiences of our lives, of our professional lives.
I was on this end of it, too.
You were? You
Yes,
were
I
working
was.
that day?
Yes, I was. And we had some technical problems as well.
Other than the technical problems, Rita, your reflections on the program.
I think you kind of summed it up already.
Yeah. I just loved her.
That's a Yeti right there. That's a Sasquatch. That's a... Or you know what? I think that might be us. The night before, after all that Jack Daniels we had.
We did get totally soused.
Wow.
We took from the liquor world.
Boy, did we.
We drank some corn squeezins.
Borrowed a little too much.
What you heard right there was actually what we heard. We recorded this. This is Sasquatch looking at us. Now, in Sasquatchese, he's saying, you two are tards.
Yeah. That's what he was
What are you
saying.
doing up here?
Why are you here to find this?
What the hell are you looking for?
What's going on? And in the middle of our drunken... Take it.
Okay? You okay? Get something down the throat?
In the middle of our drunken stupor,
Open that little giddy.
Beastmaster Ann. We're trying to go to sleep in the tent.
Now, Beastmaster was our producer at the time.
Beastmaster Ann makes us get up, take the food that we had taken up there, wrap it in a blanket, tie a big rope around it, and hoist it into a tree so that the bears wouldn't come.
Ever prepared was Beastmaster. She we called her Beastmaster for a different reason. We'll explain another time. But ever prepared she was. She read a book on camping. One of those like little leaflets you can get, you know, from the campsite grounds or something. A book on camping, and you hang your food.
Right.
I guess because the bears, right?
Right.
Can't bears climb trees?
I believe they can. Yeah, I believe they can.
You okay too? What? The whole place is getting sick.
I didn't realize that by my go, but I have a terrible cold. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you've had a cold all week.
I know. I'm losing my voice.
You feel real bad?
Or maybe I'm getting it back now.
Jeez.
I hope you feel better.
Something came up there.
Sorry,
That sounds
guys.
nasty. Yeah, so-
Is everybody getting sick here?
No, I'm not. I just choked on coffee. That first step took me.
I ain't talking about the Sasquatch show, just bringing us down.
It is. I mean, but that's again why the Loch Ness show never happened. We just realized that going down 4 hours in a submarine, regardless of how nice that sub may be, it's going to be 4 hours of Sasquatch show all over again, and we're probably not going to find Loch Ness.
I remember the engineer, you mentioned technical problems. I remember him climbing up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He realized there wasn't a signal that we were supposed to have in this campsite.
It was Rex.
And we had, Rex. Good old Rex, man. He was great. Old English guy, and it was his last year before retirement, and he was the coolest guy. We really loved him. But he was climbing up on top of the mini bago we had there with an antenna stuck, and he was actually wrapping tinfoil and beer cans on it. Because he's, this will improve the signal. It will, I'm thinking.